Hallo Julian, kannst du mich hören? Hallo Julian? Hallo Julian, kannst du mich schon hören? Thank you very much for joining today's online event about the FlexEdge platform from Lion and VPN access from Welotec. I'm here today with Julian Martini, and my name is Jost Senner from Welotec.
Hello, everybody. Greetings also from my side. As Jost just said, I'm with Red Lion Controls and work here as a strategic account manager. And I'm looking forward to this joint presentation with Welotec today.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Julian. Let's talk a little bit about the agenda. We have around 30 minutes for the presentation and then 15 minutes for a Q&A session. Please feel free to ask questions at any time during this chat. You find the integrated Q&A section within the Zoom app, or you can also use the chat function to ask questions there. At the end, we'll take enough time to answer probably all your questions. In case we don't have enough time, we'll follow up afterwards. Regarding the agenda, we'll talk a little bit about the requirements for industrial VPN infrastructure, then about the Welotec VPN security suite, which makes it very easy to set up and manage large-scale infrastructures with remote assets, with FlexEdge and other edge devices. Go into the Red Lion FlexEdge, talk about how to what different kind of use cases you have there, and where this combined solution makes most sense. Julian, can you talk a little bit about Red Lion?
Yes, thank you. So shortly introducing Red Lion Controls. So what Red Lion Control does for a living is basically we bridge the gap between the machine world, the so-called OT world, and the IT world on the other hand. And to do so, we have comprehensive portfolios around those both worlds. That basically starts at the lowest level of data, raw data, which is depicted in the schematic on the right-hand side. You see this pyramid here, and the lowest level represents basically the production of any company where raw data is generated. And here we have everything to capture any kind of data in any shape or form, if you will. We have to do so. We also have a big library of drivers, industrial drivers, for instance. You can see here for the Siemens, Omron, and Mitsubishi. This is just an extract of what we can do. So no matter how the data looks like, we can get it, and also under the hardest conditions. Yeah, so we have extremely ruggedized equipment to do so. From that area, from the lowest level, we can enhance the data. Yeah, so we can do some edge processing. We can visualize it. We can also control and bring the data then finally up to the IT world, either directly to the ERP system or intermediate steps. As you see here, we can relay the data to any kind of level in the company and bring it also up to the cloud, if you will. Yeah. So this is what we do for a living. We've been doing this for quite some time. So founded in 1972 in York, Pennsylvania, so US-based company, where we have an international footprint with 15 regional offices worldwide. Yeah. Back to you, Jos.
Thank you, Julian. So a few words about Welotec, even older than Red Lion. So we are this year 52 years young. We are based in Germany, also with our headquarters and factory in Lahr, near Münster. And we mainly work in the machine building, energy industry, but also public transportation. And since more than 10 years, we also do projects together with Red Lion Controls in the area of machine building, capturing data, and also in the energy industry for smart grids, etc. And today we combine those technologies, and we'll present our networking communication technology today with our VPN security suite, combine it with Red Lion's edge computing and FlexEdge, talking about cybersecurity, which we focus on also the possibility of cloud integration and rollout management for larger fleets. So today we talk about a secure and scalable connection, and that this is the basis for IoT projects. And this is mandatory to have a successful IoT project, because if you don't have the connectivity, if you don't have the security, IoT projects cannot be managed at scale. Crucial part is that you need a secure VPN or encrypted connection, and especially for data connection to the cloud, it's easy from the machine. But if you want to have access from a remote worker, or if you want to access from some kind of database or digital application to the machines and at the edge, you need to have a VPN security and secure connection. And on the other hand, you have so many different types of edge devices in the field. Some are behind a firewall, some are just a PLC, you have routers, and of course you have red line edge, FlexEdge devices. So you want to, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, so all IoT projects usually start with the basics. And basics that you need to cover is, first off, you need to get in the raw data, which is depicted on the left-hand side. So you have those different devices in the field that naturally come with different kinds of physical interfaces. What I mean by that could be, for example, they might have a serial interface like an RS232 or RS485. There might be just digital or analog inputs, or you have different kinds of PLCs that you need to connect to that speak different industrial protocols. So first thing to do in such a project is really break down what kind of interfaces you have and what you need to connect. That's the first thing you need to do. Also, quite important in some circumstances is under which environmental conditions you would like to do that, meaning what kind of temperature range does the equipment need to have or need to operate in. And also what's the level of shock or vibration they need to withstand. So that might also be some variables that also come on top of certifications that might be needed in certain areas like substations. Whenever you talk infrastructure, perhaps it's critical infrastructure and your hardware that you want to use to capture your data needs certain certifications. All that comes into play when you start such a project. And after you consider that, you want to think about how to get the data that you captured to the cloud, to the centralized IT system, where you want to look at the data or enhance it further. This is now where you have to think about what kind of protocols do you want to use to transmit the data. There are various choices to be made. For instance, you could opt for OPCUR or MQTT. When you do so, you might want to have a look at how much data is being transmitted, because the bandwidth that you have is limited, and the more data you transmit, the more you might have to pay for it because it costs money, right? And then also how secure is that kind of transmission that you're opting for. Also, when you operate internationally, then in different countries, you have different standards you need to comply with. Best example would be your modem that you're using. For instance, in North America, modems need different approvals than in the EU and the European Union or elsewhere. So this is also something you have to take into account when you set up such a project internationally. And now we move on to the next step, which is then the era where Welotec enters the game. And I hand it back to you. Yes.
Thank you, Julian. So yeah, so you need definitely have qualified personnel to manage those things, because you have multiple domains that you need to cover. On the one hand, you have the OT side, where you need to interact with the machines and the machine protocols. On the other hand, you have the IT side to make sure that it's a secure connection. And if those two things come together, you need to have some kind of solution that can cover both. And that is accepted also from the IT side, but also from the OT side. So you need to have qualified personnel to manage those things, and you need to build up know-how from the IT side or from the OT side. And if you really want to do industrial IoT projects, this is crucial. On the other hand, which is pretty much driven from the IT, but also important for the OT, is the IT security, maintaining the IT security, and of course the OT security, upgrading and updating devices. And this is very costly, especially if you need to maintain that over years, not only over 2 or 3 years, but those machines are in the field for 10, 15, probably 20 years. And that's where we come to soon. So that's why we designed the VPN security suite. Actually, it's not a that new product. We did quite a lot of those stuff manually when we did projects with our customers, setting up a VPN server, managing the configuration, and so on. In recent years, the quantity of devices rise, and at the same time, it's more difficult to get qualified personnel, and the requirements for IT security and connectivity increase. That's why we built a software which is called VPN Security Suite, and this one is for really mainly automated setup of encrypted VPN tunnels. So the setup of the VPN tunnel for remote access, but also for connectivity between machines, is nearly fully automated and allows you end-to-end access to devices that are separated within countries, but also globally. And this tool allows you to use the OpenVPN standard to connect, for example, with the FlexEdge, but also with Welotec routers and third-party devices that support OpenVPN, or that have some container environment where you can run a Docker container. The software is in a very modern design, so it's future-proof. We use latest technology for this. So if you want to run those software in a data center or on-premise or in the cloud, it's possible because it's containerized software, which uses the latest standard that is also accepted by any IT department. In addition to that, it's easy to use. You have a very easy and user-friendly web UI. And if you want to integrate the software in other systems, there is a REST API, so you can connect any application to all the functions of the software. And at the end, it's highly secure and follows the standard of the German BSI, which is Bundesamt for Security in the Information Technology, which is also considered as one of the standards which is used in many other countries in Europe as well. The Welotec VPN Security Suite consists of mainly 3 components. We have the VPN concentrator, which allows you to have all the or incoming VPN connections from the devices in the field, but also from the users. It manages the allocation of IP addresses and handling the routing, NATing, and also the firewall for the access of the different machines. So without the proper firewall rule set and managed within the VPN concentrator, no access is possible. So it's managed for connectivity and security. In addition to that, we have the device management, which is important for scaling up. So the configuration of routers, edge devices, but also the FlexEdge from Redline is fully automated. It's template based, so you do not need to go there locally to configure anything. It will be all done by the central software. It can be template based and easy for rollout large fleets of devices. But it's also worth to use it for a few handful, like 5 or 10 devices. Also, the device management is responsible for distributing the certificates for the VPN and for other applications and the configurations. One of the most interesting things, and where many of our customers had and still have issues, is the PKI. Managing certificates and security and renew them, coming from a manual process, trying to set this up and bring this from the IT into the OT world is, well, never an easy task. We fully automated that, and we can create the device-specific certificates, give them a signature by a central CA. And if you do not want to use this security key for the VPN connection, you can also integrate your own PKI into the system. So what we offer is end-to-end encryption. So what you see on the one hand side and on the right is a machine which is usually connected to a PLC. Then you have a gateway, which could be a router, which could be a FlexEdge, which could be any other edge device. And then you have, well, a wide area network like the internet, with some kind of server where all those devices connect to. And then you have remote maintenance engineers, or you have software systems that need to access through a secure VPN tunnel, either to the PLC or HMI or whatever is behind the edge device, and also to the edge device. So we have end-to-end connectivity from your local office, from your data center to the PLCs in the field. And this is, of course, very secure. And we also have, besides encryption and those things, access control. So you can give rights, and we have a tag-based right management. This tag-based right management allows you to give tags to machines, devices, or devices behind devices to secure the access. So you can make sure that where you see the red tag A, that the remote maintenance engineer can only access router with the tag A, can access the PLC with this tag A, and cannot access the router with this tag B only. On the other hand, the remote maintenance engineer with this access tag B can access router B and the PLC with A and B in the middle. The device management is not only for the VPN connection, which is very important, but also for all the other configurations that you have inside of the device. So your functionality. And this can usually consist of a firmware that needs to upgrade regularly for security updates. It consists of some configuration that you have there. You probably have this for many devices. They're usually very similar, especially if you're a machine builder, for example, bringing up machines in the field. Most of them are with a similar configuration. So the template-based management allows you to have a few variables that are different per device and manage large scales of fleets with the same configuration. And this is also important to understand what kind of configuration you have in the field, manage them, and also understand difference between the devices. In addition to that, we have easy management. There is a very strong web UI, which allows you to configure all the devices in the field, to configure the FlexEdge routers, and of course also the access to the devices behind, for example, the PLC or HMI or any other device that is connected to your machine and has Ethernet connectivity. The web UI is built on an API, and this is very important for the IT staff, that they can access any functionality that is available through our management web interface, and even more through our API. That can, for example, integrate with ERP system, with some kind of additional monitoring system, Azim, or MES system that you are using in the field. For the daily business, there are 3 things that are crucial. So you have the data access that you need to have for decision making, and then analysis, or even big data analytics. You need to have the remote access in case you need to do some kind of troubleshooting with 24/7 access to equipment and machines worldwide. And of course, you don't need to go there by car, train, or flight. You can just do it remotely from your company or home office. So you have increased efficiency and lower cost for this. And this is also something that allows to bring improved service quality to your customers. So you can do predictive maintenance, you can react faster, you have less downtimes. So you have a lot of advantages, and you can also establish new business models, or your customer can, which includes, for example, equipment as a service, where you're not purchasing a machine or any asset, but just charged by usage. Okay, Julian, now I hand over to you. Talk a little bit about the FlexEdge.
Thank you, Jos. So what we've done recently with Welotec is integrate one of our key products into the remote access platform, the Smart EMS that Jos just presented. This product is called FlexEdge. It's an edge device, so it operates at the machine level, or the asset level. And Flex stands for flexible, obviously. And that is because it's a modular platform that can be expanded depending on your need, what kind of signals or what kind of data you want to capture in the field. This product exemplifies what we stand for, namely the bridge between the OT and the IT world. It also stands for anything in and anything out. So any kind of data you want to capture, we can get in, enhance, and get it out to any kind of level. It's an all-in-one platform from an automation point of view, as it incorporates the edge processing capabilities, visualization, data locker, edge controlling, and much more, as you will discover. So moving onwards, the FlexEdge, as such, the device comes with a software which is called Crimson. Crimson is our own automation software. The idea behind Crimson is to make it as easy as possible to configure IoT projects or automation projects. You don't need to program there. So most of what you do in Crimson is just drop and click. So that's the general idea here. So you got this flexible platform called FlexEdge plus an intuitive software. And what you can do with it is something that I will now present you step by step. Now, first off, what you see, intuitive advanced automation, and that stands for instance, our over 300 industrial driver protocols that our software has on board. So it's a multi-protocol converter. You can convert up to 10 protocols at a time with one device. So it's not the usual one-to-one protocol conversion, but a multi-protocol conversion, bidirectional. So you can not only take data from the machine and get it out, but you can also communicate backwards for controlling purposes or for access purposes. What we could also do with Crimson is visualize the data. So you could enhance the data, right? So you take in the raw data, you compute a couple of key performance indicators locally, and then you can visualize them. either within web HMI, so it's a web server that runs on the unit, and that you could access from the internet or the local area network. What's more is that you could potentially also program or use it as a PLC, as a control device for the application. Now, moving onwards, it has a lot of physical interfaces, and it's scalable, it's modular, so you can configure it to your need, customize it to your project, if you will, depending on what kind of signals you want to get in or what kind of PLCs you want to talk to. It's also extremely ruggedized, meaning it's made to withstand the harshest conditions that you could find in the field in terms of shock, vibration, temperature, humidity. And as such, it's also classified for ATX applications. So now that you got the data in, you might want to get the data out. And that brings me to the next point. If you click once more, then you see it's also an IoT gateway. So we can convert all the data, the raw data and the enhanced data, we can convert now to protocols like OPC-UA to MQTT. So we could really connect then the assets, the machines to the IT world by doing so. And then last but not least, it's a fully functional industrial router. So take any kind of industrial router that you know, we have all of that baked into Crimson on that device. So that means you could securely and remotely access the device and monitor all the data that you capture or update the application later. So that makes Crimson really an all-in-one device for a lot of applications. Now, I said earlier that it's a platform that is flexible because it's modular. And this modularity means that you can buy certain sleds depending on the project. Yeah? One of those sleds here would be a cellular sled, the first one. A cellular sled provides cellular connectivity, obviously. For instance, in that case, we have 4G LTE modems for different areas in the world. So you could use the same base unit in Europe and the US, and you would just choose a different modem that we have in our portfolio. Quite powerful. Or if later on you want to upgrade to 5G, you could just upgrade your unit. So you just exchange the sled. Yeah? So it's also future-proof. It also has baked into it the GPS functionality for localization of your device if you manage larger fleets, for instance, or SIM failover. So there's a lot of functionality baked into this modem. We also offer wireless LAN Wi-Fi modems, which can be run as an access point or as a client. You could have multiple, so 2 Wi-Fi sleds on one FlexEdge, for instance, to perhaps concentrate data first on one device and then send it out. USB sledge gives you the possibility to perhaps connect a barcode reader or a storage device. You know. Then on the next slide, we offer serial sleds. Yeah, so if you need more serial ports, that we also have like RS232 or 485, you can add more of them. And last but not least, we also have an Ethernet sled, which adds per sled 2 additional ports, AJ45 ports. Each port is in a different subnet. Yeah, so you would have per FlexEdge up to 8 Ethernet ports. So that gives you quite flexibility in your project. Now back to you.
Thank you, Julian. So we talked about harmonized network communication and that it's functional across multiple types of devices. And this is a VPN security suite that allows you to connect over a standard open VPN, but also with native integration into the Redline FlexEdge, into the Welotec Edge gateways, with a VPN container client. So it's a Docker container for OpenVPN, or in the Welotec routers with OpenVPN integrated and native integration, or many other third-party devices that support OpenVPN and so that support Docker container. So you can easily start with FlexEdge, even though you have a different type of infrastructure already there. Integrate the old devices easily and just move on with a new FlexEdge for new installations or brownfield installations where you need to upgrade connectivity and data acquisition. Julian, can you talk a little bit about the application example?
Of course. So we brought to you today application examples. So those are examples of projects that we have them. And what you see here is a typical application where, starting on the left-hand side, you have 3 different types of machines with 3 different types of PLCs. That could be Siemens PLC or Mitsubishi or Omron, whatever. So all of these PLCs communicate in their own way. The protocols that must be then converted, to be understood. And this is what the FlexEdge is doing. You see here the FlexEdge in the middle and the center is connected to all 3 PLCs. So, and then as we can manage multiple protocols at the same time with the same device, we can now concentrate the data on one device, and then enhance the data, meaning doing some edge processing. For instance, perhaps compute the OEE or some other KPIs, can then visualize the data to make it visible to the machine operators or the decision makers. Visualize it on the web server, which can be accessed with any kind of device, which you see on the right-hand side, right? So it could be smartphone, tablet, PC, whatever. You can visualize the data. Could also set alarm points. So whenever certain thresholds are reached, that you get an alarm, push notification, email, SMS. What's more is then that you have the connectivity to the cloud via MQTT in that case. So we have baked into our software the IoT connectors for Amazon, for Microsoft, for Google, Sparkplug and many more, or you just use your own cloud. So you also have generic connectors. And then on the top, in the center on the top, you get the VPN platform of Welotec, which enables the remote access in that case. So this is a nice all-in-one solution that saves you a lot of money and complexity, because normally to do that kind of setup, you would need at least 3 different kind of 101 protocol converters. So 3 different devices only to convert the protocols. Then you would need an edge computing device to enhance the data and a router. So normally you would have here easily 5 devices on the machine level. And we displace it with just one single device and one software to program, which is connected to one platform for remote access and monitoring and configuration management. So it's a lean solution. Right, and now zooming out of that one asset, that one machine or that one location and looking at it from a global perspective, you might have several or hundreds of different locations where you operate different machines, and you could now connect all of them via the smart EMS solution of Welotec to the security suite, and also, of course, connect all of them to the cloud on the other hand side. This kind of setup also allows you then to, as yours explained, remote access for different purposes, right? You might want to update the firmware of only one location, because there's a bug, or you have a security update for all devices that you release, centrally through the platform of Welotec, or you have a new machine that you just delivered to a customer, and we are still in a production ramp-up phase, for instance. Then instead of sending a service technician out to optimize the machine in the field to support your customer, you can remotely access now the application via the smart EMS. And that's powerful stuff to save money, offer better service, be more efficient. And the last example that I brought to you now, if you zoom in again to one of those sites, then I also want to highlight one thing which is quite powerful also, namely the fact that all of our Ethernet ports are on different subnets. So usually when you run into IoT projects on manufacturing sites or elsewhere, different machines, different assets might be in different subnets. Yeah? So when you have a standard industrial router, the problem you run into is that those industrial routers might have 4 ports or 6 ports, whatever, but they are all in the same subnet. So you need for each asset a different router. Now with the FlexEdge, you can have one device accessing, in that case, 3 subnets, but you could have to reach up to 8 different subnets with one device if you opt for more Ethernet sleds. So it's again highlights how lean the setup can be with the FlexEdge. So that's the last example that I have for you today. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Julian. Quite interesting. So now we are at the end, and we have time for questions and answers. I hope that we got some questions already in the Q&A section, and I see that there are some. Julian, I think the first one is for you. There is somebody asking if do I need to be able to code in order to program a FlexEdge?
No, that's absolutely not the case. So the software has been programmed from our side in a way that the user can do it as easily as possible, meaning no programming, rather configuration, click and drop. Really very easy to learn.
Yeah. Maybe to add, for advanced functions, you also can do very simple programming.
True.
There you can also go beyond the possible functionality and do even more complex applications.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can do also the complex stuff. Yeah. So the basics is click and drop, but if you want to develop something complex, you can do so in C. Yeah, you would code in C on our devices, and, so you can do much more. Right.
Okay. The second question is, how many devices can I have behind one gateway? And can I also access them through the VPN portal? Maybe I take that one, Julian. So as we have seen before, it's mainly unlimited. So you can have 8 different subnets, and in each subnet, you can have multiple devices behind. So as many different IPs you have there, as many devices you can have there. So it could be in theory hundreds. And of course, you can also access them through the VPN portal. This means that in the portal, you configure one FlexEdge, and then you also configure the devices behind that FlexEdge, which means that you can access every single device behind that, for example, the HMI, the PLC, separately. And you can also manage the access separately, so that, for example, engineer 1 can only access the HMI behind one FlexEdge, and engineer 2 can only access the PLC behind one FlexEdge, and the administrator can access both. Okay, then we have another question regarding the, probably for you or me. Can you I access the local HMI through the VPN suite?
Yes, you can, absolutely. That's also the idea, that you have remote access on the HMI.
So through the VPN tunnel, you have access, secure access to the HMI and see all the data visualized that you have on the machine. Okay. Next one. Do you only support OpenVPN or also other VPN like IPsec? Should I take that, Julian?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, that's also quite interesting question. So with the VPN security suite, we only support OpenVPN. But with the FlexEdge, you can also do IPsec. So in case that you need to have a connection for IPsec, you can build IPsec tunnel out of the FlexEdge to some Cisco firewall or any other firewall or a Cisco router or any other router. But at the same time, you can also build up the OpenVPN tunnel. So you can combine both solutions if needed. Okay, and I think the last one is that we have here, if there are not coming any further questions, is for you, Julian.
Yes.
How many industrial protocols and drivers do you support? Is there a list available containing them?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a comprehensive list of over 300 protocols where you can then easily look up the protocol that you would need depending on the interface. So we would have like first a list of RS-232 protocols, RS-485 protocols, etc. And we update that list on a regular basis and make it available. So upon request. So if you want to have it, reach out to me or Welotec. We can make it available to you.
Perfect. And the last one, I think it's also for you. Could FlexEdge also replace the PLC on the machine?
Yes. So if for applications where you don't have, where you don't control motion, yeah, you could absolutely use the FlexEdge as PLC replacement. Yeah? So when you have response times of 200 milliseconds, yeah, or communication cycles of within 200 milliseconds, then or slower, yeah, then the FlexEdge can be a replacement for your PLC.
So this means in some applications we can not only replace 5 devices, but probably 8 or more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a really lean solution for your machine.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Julian. So we don't have further questions now. If there's any question coming up, let's wait seconds, but there's nothing coming. Okay, so we are at the end. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar, and Julian, thank you very much for joining with me today here and presenting the combined solution from Welotec and Redline.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks everybody also from my side. Well, really a pleasure to have this webinar and bring it to you. Yeah, so if you're interested, reach out to us. Stay tuned for more information coming your way on our channels. And yeah, see you around.
Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.